Hello, everyone. Welcome to the July 3rd, July 3rd edition of Speaker Co-working. I am Angela Lewis, Head of Customer Success here at Speaker Hub, joined by Ron Story Jr., Head of Membership and all things at Speaker Hub, and really excited that y'all have joined us today. Can't believe half of the year is over. So as always, we like to start with wins. So what wins do you have? What wins do you have to share?
No wins. I
Linda.
thought I thought all we did was win. Did nobody win?
Okay, well, I have a win, but it's
win.
probably a win nobody cares about.
Look at that. We
We're
don't
here
want to
for
hear no
all the
disclaimers.
wins.
We don't want to hear no disclaimers,
No,
Linda.
I'm
Come
just
on now.
saying, there's been a poem percolating in my brain for like a couple of years, and
Okay.
it's a sonnet, and I finally finished it yesterday. Like it is tied up with a silver bow.
There it is. What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know. Not many people read sonnets these days, but
But Linda, if you don't celebrate it, who gonna celebrate it?
I'm celebrating it.
That's
Trust me.
it. So we gonna celebrate with you, man. Wins
Thank
are
you.
wins.
That's nice.
And I love poetry, so
Go ahead. Wait, I think this is a cue. Sonnets are short. Go ahead. Come on. Coming to the stage. Linda Rittenhouse with her sonnet. Let's go.
With my, oh, no, it's not published yet, and I'm entering it. It's going in a competition, and
Okay, all right. Well,
yeah,
when it's finished,
I
we bring
appreciate that, but I can't
we bringing
share
you
it.
back when you
Yeah. Oh,
when you
trust
got
me.
it.
Yeah.
We want to see. We're gonna bring Def Comedy Jam or Def Poetry Jam back to Def Poetry, back to
Sounds
Speaker
good.
Hub. All right. Michelle, any wins?
Yes, we actually have 3 podcasts booked for next week and 2 the following week.
Awesome. Congrats.
Incredible. Podcasting is the cheat code. If people ain't figured that out, they're missing out on a huge opportunity. Frida, what's up?
well, I took a hint yesterday when Angela sent us that email from Systems Institute, and I reached out and I got the gig.
Hey, how cool is that?
Even if it's
Awesome.
free, we know it's never free.
That's it.
Exactly.
If you got your stuff in line, you will be okay.
Yes. So thank you all.
You're welcome. You are welcome. Anybody else? Other wins?
Cool. Well, doesn't seem like if other people will come in. So, Duane, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself. I don't know if this is your first time with us. Duane Lewis.
Hi, good morning. Duane Lewis, first time here through my distant cousin from St. Louis, Angela. Excited to be here, learn more about Speaker Hub. I've heard phenomenal things about what everyone is doing. Kudos for putting this together. I think it's very innovative and looking forward to learning more and entering into the community.
No, it's incredible. You're always welcome here, my man.
Duane, will you talk about, because I know you, because we've met in Dallas, will you talk about your background though? Like, I think people here will find it very intriguing.
Okay. I've worked in communications most of my career. 10 years in NFL communications with the Rams when actually they were in St. Louis during the greatest show on turf days with Marshall Faulk and Kurt Warner and those guys from literally 25 years ago. So tell my age here a little bit, but did 10 years in the league in St. Louis. And so that was a connection for Angela and myself in terms of all the landmarks there in St. Louis. In the last 15 years worked in collegiate athletics, worked for bowl games and Division I institutions, and right now looking to expand my experience, what I'm able to do in communications and PR space, and expand into this opportunity. Very excited about what it can mean. Heard some phenomenal things about Ron and everything you put together with it, and but have always enjoyed being on the microphone, a broadcast. Hundreds of games for the institutions that I worked for, primarily at HBCU. So very comfortable on the mic and looking forward to learning from everyone here.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Well, you're always welcome. Again, John Diggs we have a couple of NFL players, retired NFL players that join us all the time. So you're always welcome here to share your expertise in communications. A lot of us are speakers, but we're not expert communicators. I think that there's different levels to different things that we do. Some people are great writers, but they're not expert communicators. Um, Same thing with speaking. And some people who are great in communications, they may be great on television and things of that sort, but they need to work on their public speaking and things like that. So we try to make sure that we're showcasing the expertise of our experts and making them available to others who may need your help in some way, in one way or another. So there are a lot of speakers who want to speak at universities that would love to figure out how to get in contact with athletic directors, things of that sort, so that they can, come in to give speeches or at least be considered for different speaking opportunities for athletic departments and things of that sort. So, again, you're always welcome. Any other newbies? I don't see anyone new. Nope, we're all good. All right. So today's Thursday. Any questions that you all want to cover before I go into my topic? Anything y'all been anxious to fix, learn, been driving you crazy? Duane, did you do any gigs last year? Are you new to speaking? You've been speaking for a while?
I am new to speaking.
Okay.
New to it.
Okay. And how do you see yourself using speaking going forward?
Amplifying my voice. I feel like I have a story to tell in terms of Angela's been pulling this out of me. The things that I've done career-wise that I find routine are really interesting to other people. I don't talk about what I've done often, but hopefully want to inspire people that you can attain and achieve beyond anything that you can really fathom. I'm from a
Okay.
small town, Louisiana. Didn't play athletics beyond the high school space, but literally I've had an NFL career, which many people can't say. So I want to inspire people to chase their dreams and what they're after. Not necessarily
Gotcha.
in the athletic space, but take some of those athletics principles of belief and discipline and guidance and faith to get you to the next level of your life and hopefully be inspired by others on this platform as well.
Cool. What city in Louisiana are you from?
Town called Plaquemine, right outside of Baton Rouge.
Okay, cool. Hey, Camille know that. Camille got the French last name. I knew she had a
Yeah,
Louisiana.
my husband is from Mansour, Louisiana,
Uh-huh.
right between Plaquemine and Alexandria, close to Marksville. Yep.
Yes.
And we lived in Baton Rouge for 18 years.
Okay. Nice.
Very familiar.
No, that's cool. That's incredible. I told you we like 1 degree away from somebody that we know. So don't be on here talking mess because somebody gonna know your friend and tell them.
Fast.
They gonna tell them, you know. But no, so one of the things that we try to focus on here is not only how do you get your message out to the world, but how do you get paid for sharing that message? And one of the best examples that I use all the time is Stephen Covey. Stephen Covey had one speech, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That one speech has generated over $8 billion of revenue since it was first introduced in 1993. Stephen Covey passed away in July of 2012, and last year that speech still generated $287 million in revenue. So I love to say that speaking is the bus stop, not the bus station. It is the path on the way to something bigger. It is a way to motivate or to the engine to promote the bigger thing. So if speaking is the business, you're going to lose to the person that is using speaking to grow a business because they're going to have more capital, more ways to get paid, more revenue in order to get gigs that you couldn't get, right? If Duane and I are competing for a speaking gig and Duane wants $10,000 and I'm willing to do the same gig for free or for less, I'm probably going to get that gig, all things being equal, right? But if Duane says, well, only way I can do it is because I'm going to get 10 grand, I'm like, he looking for 10 grand up front. I'm going to get 30 out of the audience, right? So if I can go speak to the same group of executives and get $50,000 worth of corporate consulting contracts out of it, I would rather give myself that opportunity to go in and speak for free and show them the goods versus at putting a barrier up that's preventing me from even getting in the room with the people who can write a bigger check to me, right?
Okay.
So, that's what we teach. We teach not only get paid to speak, but you should be speaking to get paid, right? Meaning that there should be a bigger business underneath. So that's really what I want to talk about today, because I think sometimes I get on my soapbox and I get to talking about stuff, but we don't really get feedback from each other about the businesses that we're in. And you don't have to respond in the next 30 minutes. But what I want to do is to open it up to let people talk about the business that they're in. What's the business behind your speaking? If speaking is your only business, high five, right? But we're going to give you some suggestions about the business you should start underneath so that it opens up more opportunities to you. Does that make sense? So let's start with that. I'm going to go with the way that the squares are located on my screen. It may be different on you guys. I have Frida up at the top left corner in my room. So Frida, tell us about what you speak about and the business that it is the engine for, that speaking is the engine for.
Thank you. I started off as a high school teacher. So I've been teaching and being paid. What teachers get paid? Is it chewing gum? Anyway, so I reached a point where now I was teaching college, including college professors. I was training them. I was on the boards. I was talking with university leaders about how to drive universities strategically. And I would hear people who have been there for over 30 years saying, oh, I've never thought about it the way you have explained it. But I still kept feeling that I was being shortchanged because I'm sitting in a classroom of maybe sometimes 50 students, and I'm being paid per price of one student. And it's like, that's not a good deal. So slowly by slowly, it has taken me a long time, of course. I started thinking, how can I leverage my experience, my expertise to making more money? So when now I decided to do that, I started looking for maybe networking or hubs like yours where I could get into software that would help me do what the university was doing for me, marketing me, promoting my course, and then bringing students to me. Because if I can do that or find software that can do that for me, then it would help me focus on what I love to do, design
Okay.
courses and speak.
So
So,
what's the
now the business, yeah, that's where I was going. Now the business, therefore, as having coming from higher education, we are very good at publishing. So we're always researching and publishing. But I was also noticing that my books weren't really selling. Even as I talked to my students and told them about my books, they weren't selling. But now I decided, okay, if I can speak on bigger platforms, then I can not only sell my courses, sell my books, sell my merchandise, whatever it is that I have. And so what I have done is create a business out of that. I've even registered it, like I was saying yesterday, and trademarked most of what I've been talking about for all these decades so that I am protecting it. So that's the business now I am in. Not just becoming the brand, but also becoming the face of my shop.
Okay. And who's your ideal customer?
So that's another good question. So I have transitioned from college students, although I will also still be speaking to the college students. But what I'm speaking to is emerging leaders who I have come to realize nobody teaches you how to lead yourself. Nobody teaches you about what leadership is. They just promote you, give you a leadership position, but they don't train you on what that is. So my ideal client is leaders who are seasoned and emerging leaders.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second. Can I coach you a little bit on that?
Please, that's why I'm here.
Okay. So when we say leaders, it's so broad,
Right.
right? So I'll tell you who our ideal customer is. Our ideal customer at Speaker Hub is a thought leader that doesn't necessarily have to be a speaker. They're usually a solo entrepreneur. They have 1 to 2 employees. They're doing at least, our ideal customer is doing at least $100,000 a year in revenue. And they want to use speaking as their voice to grow their business, right? That's very specific. It's not anybody with a mouth that can talk, right? It's not anybody who wants to speak, because the people who have the inspirational stories, if they don't have a product behind it, it's kind of hard for us to ever help them with actually monetizing that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So by getting a bit more specific, I think it'll make it easier for people on the call to suggest people for you to talk to, right? Because if you just say leaders, well, that could be anybody. But if you said,
Right.
you know what, does anybody know anyone that's in student services at universities, or that are in TRIO, or that are in that works in HR at a company, right? By whittling it down, now Willie can say, you know what, I know the person at Lewis and Clark University that handles student onboarding or whatever, right? Because now we know who to refer to you. But if you just say leaders that have ambition, I can't find that person. I can't go look them up on LinkedIn. Do you see what I mean? But I can look up student services. I can look up accounting professors. I can look up director of learning and development. Those are titles that people have already raised their hand saying that I do that thing. Does that make sense?
Yes. So I have 2 fields that I'm trying to, sharpen and finalize. So I have student success, so that I can talk to students who are in leadership. So like student leadership. In most universities, there is student leadership networks, and they have professional development for them. And then emerging women leaders. Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
again, we want to let me clarify this so that we can, and I'm going to help you. I got something for
Yes.
you. You just got to roll with me. There's going to
Thank
be, I got to use you as the example for everybody else so that when they come up, they're ready. Does
Yes.
that make sense?
Yes.
Come over to LinkedIn, and I typed in student success, right? And I click on people, right? Is this the person at these different places? Student success, director, student success.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, right? So how many people came up with that search? Didn't tell me, but I'm gonna take it over here, right? So I'm gonna come over here to Sales Navigator, because it's really important for us to be able to say, oh, do I know someone that works in that position? So I'm gonna come over here to job title, in their current job title, and put in student success. So anything related to that. So that brought up 21,000 people over in LinkedIn,
Wow.
right? And if I wanted them only in the United States, so let me just put United States, there's 16,000 just in the United States at all the different universities.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, let me tell you why you got to be very specific. When you said, I want the people in student success and student leadership, I was thinking you was trying to sell to the students. I didn't think that was even a title of that at the universities. How many other people thought she was talking to students? Was I the only one? Yeah, everybody thought you was talking to students. We like, students ain't got no money to pay you.
No.
Right? So being very specific about who you're trying to sell to is the number one issue with most businesses. They haven't clearly identified in their own words when they're talking to other people so that they hear the same thing that you're thinking. Does that make sense?
A
So
lot
student
of it.
success, I'm thinking student leadership, the leader of the local fraternity chapter, the leader of
Yeah.
the marching band.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was 20,000 people with a job that had student success in it.
Mhm.
So what I would say is the person that's in the student success department, just by adding the word department, we know you're not talking about a student anymore.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Even if they might invite me to speak to the students, they'll be the ones inviting me, and they're the ones I'll be talking to.
Exactly. But exactly. So they're the people with the paycheck, right?
Right. Yeah.
So whenever you're describing who you want to go after, be sure that it's that what you're thinking and what the person is hearing is the same thing. Is that fair?
Very fair.
Did you know there were 16,000 of those people?
I thought maybe there were more because I was counting by universities
Oh, by
all over the
universities?
world. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
So,
I'm
but
assuming that
16,000
every
universities is
university
still a
has
lot,
one. Yes.
right? So yeah, there's 16,000 of them, right,
Yes.
in the United States.
Yes.
Right? And they have different titles. So student success leader, student success manager, they have
Mhm.
different titles depending on what school they're at and how they like this person is the intern. We don't want interns. So what I
No.
would do if you're familiar with LinkedIn, I can type in intern and then exclude that word. Anything that says intern, it will
Mhm.
take those guys out.
Mhm.
Is this fair, guys? So when who you're trying to sell to now, Speaker Hub isn't just about you using Speaker Hub to get in front of the people for your business. It's a way to find those people through large audiences to sell to them as a group. But on an individual basis, one of the best things you can do is to get Sales Navigator. It's
Mm.
$100 a month. One of the best investments you can make is in Sales Navigator. Why? Because now you get more, like this Lynn George. If you just go to her page and you're not a friend with her, you don't get all the stuff that I get. I get a bunch of extra activity, right? I can see a lot of stuff that she's done that they don't tell you in the regular Speaker Hub, but I mean in the regular LinkedIn. But also, what I can do is I can say, how many of them posted on LinkedIn in the last 90 days? Because if they're on LinkedIn, they're pretty active. They're trying to build they're usually new at the job. They try to figure it out, right? So you click there and it only brings up the 2,000 that have posted in the last. But look, remember I said they was new at the job? She been there a year. She been there 6 months. This person been there a year. This person been there a year. The new people are always trying to drum up new business and excitement. Those are your people. They looking for some fresh blood to bring in to talk about something they ain't never heard or they never brought into the university to talk about. Is this fair, guys? So
Very, very.
the one lesson I want to make sure as we go to someone else is be very clear on who you want to talk to. Because if you're not, how can someone ever send someone your way? You don't want to make your referrer think. Man, let me think about it. You ain't getting the lead for me because I got to think about it. But when you say, yo, I'm looking for somebody that works in communications or maybe an athletic director at a university, cool, Duane Lewis. Man, you know anybody working with folks in the NFL? Cool, Larry Lundy. Right, like right off the bat, I have these trigger words that let me know. Man, you know anybody who's really into boxing? Cool, Kevin, Golden Gloves champion. You know someone that does children books? Linda. Right? You see what I mean? So you want where it triggers something for them to be able to refer you. It's your job to make yourself easily referable. Does that make sense? It's not your client's job to understand how to explain what you do and who you work best for. It's your job to make it easy for them to just be triggered and say, call Camille. Do you know any corporate leaders down in Louisiana? Yep, Camille. She may not be there now, but she used to live there for 18 years in Baton Rouge. Boom. It's these easy triggers. Is this fair? Making sense?
Yes.
Hey,
right?
Ron, what was the filter that you used to find out who had posted within the last 90 days?
Yep. So inside of Sales Navigator, there is, and here's the trick: sign up for Sales Navigator. They give you 30 days for free. So there's no excuse. Anybody can hop in there for 30 days for free. At the end of the 30 days, go in there and tell them you want to cancel it and it's too high, right? It'll ask you how you want it. Is it too expensive? Put yes, it's too expensive. They'll give you one or two options: another free 30 days, or they'll give you 2 months at 50% off. So that gives you 4 months of Sales Navigator, but you got to use it. It's a gym, not a spa. The gym, you got to go work out at the gym. The spa, you just sit back and relax. This ain't a spa, it's a gym. But here's the thing right there. You see that under recent updates.
Okay.
And then remember I said you want the people that just got the job who trying to make an impression. Cool. Click them and just get those 900 who just got that job.
Gotcha. Perfect.
Make sense?
Perfect.
So Sales Navigator is a cheat code, like 100% cheat. And you can save your searches and be able to go back, but it's incredible, right? So Frida, great. That was good. So now we know the business that Frida's in. She talks about self-leadership. She wants to talk to students about it and have the universities to pay her. I would add Trio to that list, Trio and Upward Bound. Frida, if you haven't reached out to them, I would always add them because those are government funded programs that pay anywhere from $4,000 to $6,000 for each speaker. I have two friends that I know, they're clients of mine that do 40 to 60 Trio gigs a year. That's all they do is speak for Trio and stuff like that. And here's the cool thing. Tell me a university that only has one college within 5 miles. None. They all got the community college and some private school right next to them.
Mhm.
In Bloomington, Illinois, they got Illinois State University. And then there's Lincoln College. And then there's Heartland Community College. And then there's Illinois Wesleyan. What you do is when you go and you get your thing booked with Illinois State, you say, hey, do you know the student success person over at Illinois Wesleyan? I'm going to be there a day early. I want to stop by and talk to them too. And you ask them, do you know the person over at Heartland? I'm going to be reaching out to them. And then next thing you know, you got 4 gigs in one weekend. Go and listen to Stan Pearson or Odell Bazell and how Stan Pearson spoke at the Pro Speaker Summit from October. Odell spoke at the Pro Speaker Summit from 2 weeks ago. They talk about how they will land in a city and do 4 gigs on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday in the same city at all the different universities. It's totally cheating. It don't just have to be universities. It could be other associations. So it's a land and expand strategy. I get 1 gig, I'm going to expand out to the other ones. Got it? Is that fair,
Yep.
Frida?
Yep.
Cool.
Thank
Hopefully
you
this
so
was
much.
helpful. Oh yeah, no problem. Linda, you're up next. Linda, the sonnet writer.
Okay, what do you want, Ron?
What do you
You
speak
want me to
about?
take all those jewels of wisdom and smush them down into saying something
Yeah,
significant?
I just want to know what's your topic
All
and what's the
right.
business underneath.
You are amazing. When I hear you say like it's a gym, not a spa, like I'm always taking notes when you're talking because you have so many kernels of wisdom. Well, first of all, I am mostly involved with Speaker Hub in support of my business partner, John Diggs. So I'm a big mind mapping person. I've used mind maps extensively in education, teacher for 20 years. And, but my personal passion is words and literacy and trying to do some little part to reverse the decline of literacy in this country. It's appallingly, it's atrocious. And I guess at the base of that is a fear that some kid somewhere is going to have an idea that could impact the world and they're going to not be able to express it either speaking or writing, or that idea is going to drift off and never make a difference. So as far as who I speak to, well, let me back up a little. So when I retired from teaching, I thought, okay, I'll write children's books. That'll be a great way for, and so I wrote like 25. They're all 5-star, like most of them were #1 hot new releases on Amazon. Like they are like quality books, but I realized that no matter how many or how good of books I was putting out for kids, it was like sticking your finger in a damn. So I thought, okay, if I develop a course, I can help other people become children's authors and, you know, have a greater impact that way. So I've put together a course, but I've done diddly nothing to promote it, or I taught again last year, which severely dampened my time to do anything else. And so I'm just getting my rhythm back. I now know I'm on Arizona time, but not New York, because I just got back from New York. But so yeah.
Okay. So are you using, I know you work with John, but
Yes.
you're here, so we're
Yes.
gonna make you participate. I'm a bully.
Yes, you are.
Are you wanting to use podcasting and speaking as a way to get more exposure for what you're doing, or are you comfortable with what you're already doing?
Well, I do get invited to, I've been on podcasts. I have one coming up in August, but I'm kind of thinking, okay, what of value can I give to that audience? Like I really need to zero in on what's the most important aspect to me of promoting children's literacy. Well,
Okay.
literacy in general, because children grow up to be illiterate adults.
Yep, 100%. So I'm going to show you something that I think would be Nicole. I don't know Nicole's last name. Let me go back and look it up. So again, here at Speaker Up, we teach what we've done, not what we assume. So let's look here. I need to find Nicole's last name. She's gonna kill me, but she got married, so her last name changed. Lynn Horst, right? So really quickly. So guess what Nicole does? Uh-oh. Well, Nicole may not be doing much if her website ain't working. Right. So Nicole writes children's books, right? And last year she approached me with 2 years ago, she approached me with a very similar issue. I have these children's books I want to put out. I want to sell them, but I put them on Amazon and they're getting lost in the sea of stuff in Amazon. And one of her main books was about her son, who was a mixed kid with an afro. And he always noticed he was different. He had black people hair, but white people skin, but he had white people skin, but black people hair. So he was like, well, where's my magic? So she wrote a book to try to explain to her son that he has all the magic as a kid, right? And that's really what this is about, right? But she wrote a bunch of these different books. This is Nicole. And when she came to me, she said, hey, I got a book. Can you help me? And I said, well, what are you trying to do? She says, well, I want to get in front of bookstores. So I said, cool, hold my beer. And I went and I found 1,000 bookstores for her and I reached out to them, right? And 483 of them opened up the email. 58 of them clicked over to check out her books. 103 of them replied back to us. 57 asked for more information about her book or they bought pre-orders. She sold a lot of freaking books just by doing outreach and making more offers, telling people, hey, I have a book. Do you want me to send you one? Would you like to buy two? Do you work on consignment? How do you want to go about it? And she got them damn books out there. It's by brute force. Nobody knocked on her door. Nobody said, we heard you write great books. She had to go tell people. The biggest thing that we found, and this isn't about Linda, I'm talking to everybody here, is that most speakers are really loud when they're on stage, but they're really quiet when they're not. You're a professional speaker, but you don't professionally promote what you do. It's really, really, really tough to grow a business like this. Got to let people know what you do. Got to send out the emails. Got to get in front of them. So, Linda, there's proof. I got 966 bookstores. I will send you the list. Reach out to them. They're independent bookstores. They're not Barnes and Noble or anything like that. Hey, you want to carry my books? Tell the story. That's all she did. She didn't send anything magical. We used the same email format that we've taught you all for years. You know, ask them a question, tell them why it's important, make an offer, ask for the meeting. Same, you notice she didn't even mention the books because that kills the curiosity. So they reply back, tell us more about the books. Well, they're children's books. So then she got into the conversation. Does this make sense? All of this overthinking, over typing, trying to find the best pickup line, you don't need that. You just need more people to know that you have something that benefits the world. So again, Linda, we're just using you as the subject. I'm not preaching to you. I'm showing you the opportunity that's there. I can't personally open these up because I don't want to put it out there, her stuff personally, but I know she sold a lot of damn books because I saw the orders. Right? So we said, you know what? That worked for her children's books. Maybe this works for other people. So she told somebody, hey, Ron helped me to sell my books. Maybe he can help you to sell your books. So this one young lady who did Christian books, Pamela Jenkins, same situation. Found 1,000 bookstores and churches that she wanted to sell her book to. Same result.
Ron?
Yep.
If I wanted to focus on the aspect of growing the number of children's book authors, if that were more important to me than selling my books, I mean,
Yep. Oh, 100%. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
I can tell you what, I can help you with that. But here's what people want. This is what I had to learn the hard way, right? People want their dream. And they want someone that's been down the path that their dream has been in, right? So the Amazon thing is great, but a lot of them just want to be able to go in the store and see their book on the shelf. So hear what I'm saying. So
Yep.
even if you just reach out to them and you get your book in 5 real stores, you have the proof that I got it online and in the store. So it eliminates that objection. Well, anybody can put it on Amazon. She ain't in a real bookstore. Shut up. We put it over there already. Right? That's what it eliminates that. Now you can go and talk about my book is in 43 stores. We have 25 of them that were 5-star bestsellers. Now the credibility is hard to argue with when you talk to those authors that are aspiring authors down the road. What I figured out is when I was talking to speakers at first and I hid what I did as a speaker, they didn't want to hear me. When I started talking more about my speaking and selling from the stage, and they realized that I made more than their coaches from the stage, they were like, "Oh, dude, what you got to say? Tell me more." Right? So I think that the credibility, I was showing you that as a way to get to beat the objections. So then now you can go and I think a lot of stay-at-home mom groups, like there's different groups that I think you can go in that has the aspiring author in it.
Yeah, I think, like, not that this is a counseling session, but I think a lot of my problem is I'm very reluctant to self-promote. Like,
Well, don't promote yourself.
I can sing someone else's praises all day long, but when it comes time to, like, it's just awkward for me. And that's something that I need to overcome because, like, I'm doing some pretty amazing things. But I don't post about it. I just got back from New York, right? Here I was at the Harlem School of the Arts annual exhibition. I am collaborating with one of the student authors to have her illustrate one of my children's books too. So I walk in there, here's this gigantic screen with an interview that they did with me, which I learned I need to not take everything so seriously. Like when I talk, I'm always like, instead of like, but it's an interview they did with me about this project. And it's, you know, part of the, some of the illustrations there and the artist and her family and the, I mean, but do I go taking the pictures of, wow, look at me up here and look at the great things I'm doing and posting them? I like, it's really difficult for me to do that.
Okay, so let me give you a couple. I'll give you two pieces of advice, and you
Okay.
can take them either way,
Okay.
right? I'm glad Nicole raised her hand because there's the old saying that says that a person who represents themselves as their own attorney is a fool, right?
A fool for a client.
Yeah, they had a fool for a client. And I actually believe that about entrepreneurship, that most knowledge-based entrepreneurs, they have to hire someone else to sell and do marketing because they can't deal with the rejection because the product is too personal to them. And I know people will say, oh, no, I don't have a problem with the rejection. Yes, you do. We all do. We all are too close to our product. And if you didn't, you would tell everybody about it. So we all struggle with rejection in some ways. We all do. It's human. So I want to hear it. It's a human thing. So how do you get over it? Well, you do two things. Number one, you hire somebody else who don't care about. Look, my job is just to tell you that Ron runs Speaker Hub. Objectively, they don't care. I get paid to tell them this. If you don't like him, cool. I don't care. He told me to tell you. So we had Pablo that just sent emails telling people about Speaker Hub. If don't nobody like Speaker Hub, Pablo don't own it. Pablo was just our employee. He just did his job to reach out to 800 people a day. He's totally objective. So you got to get a marketer that has a genius as a client. So find someone that you can invest a couple $100 a month in that could just automate some of those things that you're not personally involved with, right? So that's the first side. The other side is most of us have a problem with promoting, but we have no problem with telling our story. So just look at it as just tell your story more and the promotion will automatically happen. But if you look at telling your story as promoting, then you're going to bail every time because you're measuring the outcomes. So one of the great things about this daily call is I don't even look at the numbers. We track how many people show up and all of that stuff, and that's Carlos's job. But I can't get involved in that because I get too technical. Like, dude, we get the same people every day, and they all look like me. We need more white people on it, and we need more Asians, and we need more Latinos. I don't want Speaker Hub to just be known as the Black business. I'll get into all of that, and I shouldn't be involved in that. What I need to be focused on is being the best me and providing the best information. Because that's what I'm good at. And then I can distribute it to everybody else down the road. But if I get caught up in all the minutia, then we will never do these calls. Does that make sense? So you got to learn to succeed in spite of yourself. That is one of the best things I've learned from a guy named John Wright out of Champaign, Illinois. He said, Ron, you will have to learn to succeed in spite of yourself. Why? Because when I was 20 years old, I was selling financial services, insurance, investments, life insurance, while I was a broke college student from East St. Louis who didn't have any money, who didn't come from money, grew up in the hood. A lot of my friends died while I was in high school, things of that sort. And he said, Ron, you will have to learn to succeed in spite of yourself. Yes, we know you're 21. We know you don't have any money. We know you're Black. We know you're still in college. How do you win despite that? How do you win despite that? You got an office full of old white dudes in here who need appointments. You have all the courage in the world to make phone calls. Take them on your appointments with you. So that's what I did. I made all the phone calls, set up the thing, and surprise, it was me, but you're going to talk to him today. And I sat in the meeting and I shut up. And I got half the money. I had to succeed in spite of my own self-perceived shortcomings. Does that make sense? So,
Ryan, can I say something? I'm gonna have to jump
okay,
off, but I
yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
tell her. Everybody goes through feeling like that. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn. I don't want to sound cocky. I don't want to feel like I'm taking up all the air in the room. It's two things that I wanted to say to that. One, if you, I do agree with Ryan that if you got a couple $100, pay somebody else to do it. Until you get there, create you a second account, create you a second social media account, email account, and guess what? Your new name is Crystal, and Crystal thinks you are the best thing since sliced bread, and Crystal responds to everybody, so nobody has to say that she's cocky, and every time I see something, she's always. You also add it in with other stuff. So out of 5 social posts, 2 or 3 of them say how great you are, and a couple of other ones talk about the same topics that you talk about and just happen to throw your name in there. That's how you do that. The other thing is, when I wrote my first book, I remember I had a lady that I never had talked to before. I was giving her a ride with a friend of mine. And the thing that she told me, she was like, Nikki, people need to hear your story. She's like, I don't know you, and I wish God didn't make me be the one to tell you, but she's like, the Holy Spirit is on me. And it says that every time, every day, every moment that you don't get your message out and get the book that he told you to write, somebody's blood is on your hands. You need to be that convicted about what you're saying and what you're doing, no matter what your topic is, that you need to feel like that you are your own evangelist. Because if you don't get that word out that somebody needs, it's not going to change their life. It's not going to change their business. It's not going to change their money. And then that's on you because you didn't do what you were supposed to do to get them the message. So I just got called to a podcast because they want an attorney for the Diddy trial.
How
So
cool is
love
that?
you guys. I missed you. I'll see you later.
See you later. But that's, I think that what she said is spot on, right? We got to learn to succeed in spite of ourselves. If that means making an alter ego, if that means getting somebody, our nephew, to promote or whatever, you just got to do it. Because here's the thing: no business succeeds without promotion, right? So what's the alternative? If you don't promote yourself and you don't want to pay someone to promote you, what's the alternative? Right? And I'm not talking to Linda, I'm talking about overall. What's the alternative? Because you're not going to be in business. And you're just going to complain about someone who is less qualified than you that is beating you. I refuse to let a less qualified idiot outwork me. You're just not going to outwork me. What they say, hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. But if hard work and talent work together, nobody can stop them. A lot of us have the talent. We just don't have the courage. Put your big boy, big girl pants on and decide if this is something you want to do. If not, license your information to somebody like me, and I will give you 5%, and I will take it to the moon, and you'll get your 5%. Yeah, they ain't did none of the damn work. I got AI. I can have AI write a book. Do you see what I mean? That's how entrepreneurs think. But we say, well, no, I don't want 5%. Well, cool, stay in obscurity. Stay in obscurity. Just stay over there. But we'll just go compete and win, and you'll see the guy who you know has none of the talent beating you because he had the courage. Right? So that's not about Linda. That's just overall. I'm talking to all of our timid souls that are timid private geniuses. Got to tell people about what you do. Right? So I think we can do a couple more. We should do this more often. We just gonna have to keep the introductions to like 2 minutes, right? So I got a few more minutes. Anybody else want to go next? I'll let people volunteer. So I thought we would have more time. I have a meeting in 45 minutes. Okay, cool. Anybody else want to go next? We'll take volunteers. Camille, I saw you on mute.
Yeah, I'll go, and I'm not quite buttoned up, so this is why we're having this conversation. So I have 30 years of corporate experience. Went from being an engineer in a plant in Louisiana all the way to the C-suite of a Fortune 50 corporation, and then I got tired and decided I don't want to do that anymore. But through that experience, I always have a passion for people in the organization, typically first generation, who don't know how to get from middle management into leadership. They think it's hard work and toiling and all this, and it's not, right? There are some tips and tricks and strategies that you use to be perceived as high potential leadership. And so my audience is that group of people, high potential, who can be good leaders but don't know that they can be good leaders yet. And those are the people that I have a heart for. They don't, even those people can't afford my services. So what I offer is group coaching, cohort-based coaching. I offer a course, and then for the executives who I know through my network, they get my one-on-one coaching.
Okay. So who's the audience? Define the person.
For my speaking, the audience is mid-career professionals in corporations that want to know how to get into leadership.
How do I find them on LinkedIn?
Oh, by their titles, that's tough. It's managers and directors title.
And they put in their profile that want to get into higher management.
Yeah, no, they don't.
You see how that's not self-selected?
Yeah.
You see the difference?
Yeah.
Right. So you got to find a way where people are they're raising their hands, saying, I want this thing. Because
yeah.
what we describe a lot of times is what we called consultant assumed. We assume that this is the person that wants my stuff. It's not client confirmed, right? You see the difference? Consultant assumes I work with these people to do that. How many clients you got? I ain't got none yet. So that's an assumption, right? When you say I work with this group that has one employee that's doing this, they make this amount of money. How do I know? Because these are the 19 people that bought from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Always say all reviews and product suggestions go through Stripe. If they ain't paid me, I don't really care what they think. I want to see why the people paid me, and I want to see who paid me so I can define that group.
Yeah.
When I look at our folks who bought Lifetime, I know what they look like. I know who they are. If they say, oh, I want to get $10,000 speaking gigs and speaking is this and I deserve that, I know they ain't buying Lifetime. We already know. On our team, he's like, yeah, they ain't buying. Right? But they say, oh, no, I got a coaching business and I'm doing this and I think my voice could be this and I have this other product and consulting. Cool, we got them. But the minute that they say, no, I motivate and I inspire people to do this, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what's the other product? I don't have no other product. I was told, yep, cool. Thank you. It's going to be great. Sit over here for a minute, though. I'm going to go focus on these folks that I know are ideal customers. Does that make sense? So we want to define that ideal customer. Has anyone purchased your product or service just yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Who are they?
Managers, directors, and one vice president.
Okay. Of what size of companies?
Oh, all pretty large, like Fortune 500 companies. But these are the individuals, though, not their companies.
No, I got it. Right. But you see, that person of those larger companies, they can't afford your services. That's why they paid for it. You see the difference? Did she just tell us that they can't afford her services? And then she named the people that's making $400,000 a year. What are you doing, Camille? You think I'm new to this? You think I don't know how to listen? Right. But
you put it that way.
The key thing was that she talked about where her heart was and who she wanted to help first versus the people who actually said they want the help. So we got to listen to the people who want the help because people will complain about things they're not willing to change or pay for.
That's true.
So the first thing we have to do is to find a customer that has the authority to make the decision, has the desire to make the change, and has the money to pay for it. If they don't have those three things, they're not your ideal customer. A lot of people have the authority to make the decision, but they ain't got the desire to change. They comfortable. They may have these first two things. They ain't got the bread. They ain't my customer. Does that make sense?
That's awesome. And I love the way you put that so succinctly because that helps me then more focus on, okay, they have to have all three to be my
100%.
audience. Yeah.
Right? Now, here's the thing. I was one of my best friends and frat brothers visited me from Taiwan for the next 10 days or whatever. And he was an assistant principal at a school, right? And then he went on to be the principal at several large schools internationally. And we had a conversation, and I was joking with him one day, and I said, hey, when you was younger, did you ever wake up thinking you wanted to be an assistant principal? He was like, no, don't nobody want to be the assistant principal. But everybody, most people have an assistant principal at their school, but it's not an aspired job. So if I was selling a course, that I talked to a guy and he said, I help principals to fix their schools, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, when do you do it? And he says, well, I can't get the new principals to buy it, but those are the ones who need it. And I said, well, when do people decide that they want to work with you? He was like, usually by their second year, but they're usually about to be fired because their school is underperforming. And I said, yeah, you're just selling to the wrong people. You got to sell to the assistant principals because they're aspiring to be the principal. So you sell to the assistant principal who's aspiring, and then they go into their interviews with your new ideas that you've taught them, because nobody wants to just be the assistant principal ever. Nobody wants to be the assistant store manager. You want your own store. Does that make sense? So how do we find that group that is in the aspiring position where they didn't raise their hand to say, I aspire one day to kick my manager out or to take his job, but I'm in the position that's right beneath that didn't nobody aspire to, but I want that. It's the associate pastor position if we keep it in church. Nobody want to be the associate pastor. They want their own church. Because the associate pastor never gets to preach. He gets to preach two times a year when the pastor go on vacation and on his anniversary. Other than that, associate pastor don't get to do nothing. And that's if the youth pastor ain't more popular. If the youth pastor is more excited and more popular, he got that job that week. Old Deacon Jones gonna be over there hot. He hating on the youth pastor, but he's 75, so he can't be the youth pastor. Come on, yeah, okay. Look, don't act like I ain't grew up in the church. I know this for a fact. That's how it worked. But that's what happened at jobs too. So, Camille, we got to find that person that is in that. Who used to want your job? Let me ask you that. Who used to want your job? What position? What was their job title that wanted your job?
Well, those were vice presidents, actually, because I had
there you go. So target
me.
vice presidents, because don't nobody want to be the assistant president. That's all a vice president. He is assistant president. I don't want to be the assistant president. Right? Because here's the thing. They may not use the skills that you can give them at that company. You and I both know that usually your promotion comes from you leaving that organization and going to another.
Yeah.
So you just address that elephant in the room right at the beginning. This is for training for those who feel like they're at their glass ceiling at their current job. The current president of the company is also the owner. So he ain't never quitting. So the best way to get out of this is for me to go somewhere else or to go to a larger company with the same title where I get more responsibility and more management foresight or whatever. But do you see how you can?
I do. Yep.
They
and
didn't raise their hand
the
to say that they were aspiring, but their position says that they're aspiring. Got it?
Yes, thank you.
Nobody wants to be the assistant bottle washer. Either I'm gonna run this dishwashing machine or I'm gonna go work on fries, bro. Got it?
Thank you, Ron.
Yep, no question. Anybody else who wants to go next? Because this is what this is about. Like, if I can't make you all into great business owners, speaking will become the main thing. And we don't want that. We need this to be a business.
Hey, Ron. I've been hearing Ron talk about this now. He been like beating this in me for the last 5 years. But bro, I can tell you, you have gotten better at explaining it every year. This was spot on, bro. Like, you didn't explain it like this to me 5 years ago. But like this, I hope y'all like eating this up, because he would just tell me, like, you talking to the wrong people, stupid. I'll be like, all right, man.
I mean, I can talk to you like that. Because, I mean, listen, I ain't going to tell him what he say to me. This ain't a one-way street. Come on, man. This ain't, I'm not really a bully. I just believe in tough accountability because we ain't got time to waste.
Hey,
Right.
you're doing good, bro.
Ron,
This is really good.
No, I
Ron,
appreciate it, Angel. Go ahead.
Yvette said, what are the 3 things needed to identify ideal client again?
3 things you need. They need to have the authority to make the decision, the desire to make the change, and the ability to pay for it. Now, we know a lot of people that have the authority to make the decision. They got the money to pay for it, but they really don't want to change. They just want to complain because it's okay being a victim and they get a bunch of sympathy. They would rather deal with the sympathy, complaining about the problem, about how they're too timid to do something versus just getting out there and winning. I guarantee you the pride of winning, seeing them first cha-chings for your course or your training changes everything. You get that first swipe, you like, man, can't nobody tell me nothing. You're on top of the world for like 20 minutes until it's 3 more days until the next cha-ching comes. You think they're going to come in every hour. They come in every 3 weeks, but you just got to figure out how to get more traffic. But that first one, unbelievable. Unbelievable. We still celebrate it on our team. We put out a new promotion. Somebody buys something, I screenshot it, put it in the group. Hey, look, we sold something. All this work we did worked, right? Because that is the validation that the work was not for nothing. Feels way better, to get that validation than to continually say, oh, I want to, but I don't know. You just got to get out there, guys. Yvette, you had another question, or can I put your hand down? You feeling better over there? I know you had a sore throat or something a couple weeks ago. You feeling better?
I had pneumonia, so I am a lot better. I raised my hand because I want to be next.
Oh, go ahead.
And
Let's go.
Yeah,
let's talk about it. So, what's your topic?
Okay.
Who do you help? And what's the business underneath?
So my topic is invisible disability and disability advocacy. I also talk about inclusion or inclusive innovation and disability in the workplace. And
okay. What's an invisible disability? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So 61 million Americans have disabilities. 85% of those disabilities you can't see, like cancer, neurological conditions, and mental health. Unlike myself in a wheelchair, you can see that very obviously. But those disabilities that are not seen by, the naked eye.
Okay. I got you.
Like a learning disability.
I'm sorry.
Like a learning disability is what she said?
Absolutely. And, more specifically, there's a medical journal that talks about all disabilities. And so if they're in that medical journal, then it's a disability, because there are some that are not legally or medically a disability. But yes, learning disabilities fall under that category for you.
Gotcha. So, okay. So yeah, I think the one of the things that you'll have to figure out is, and this is something that we struggled with at a time, was figuring out what's the words that don't make people have to wonder what it is. So whether it's unseen or non-apparent, things like that, are a bit better than invisible, because I'm like, what's an invisible disability? I start thinking Marvel superheroes and people who are invisible. But when it's like, oh, it's non-apparent. Well, okay, they probably have it. It's just not apparent to me. Does that make sense? But keep going. Let's go. I just wanted to, that was just something I was confused about. I don't know if anybody else had ever heard of invisible disabilities before, but I knew what they were once she explained them.
Got it.
Okay. Oh, got my first check for 50 books. High five to freaking Bonnie.
All right, Bonnie.
It's a big deal.
So,
incredible.
I would say, you said underlying business. I would say, my organization, your Invisible Disability Group, which clearly I need to make more clear, but I do coaching, customized training, and a lot of thought leadership with major organizations, because I work mostly with corporations and HR leaders, event organizers and conference planners, educators, academic institutions, most companies. talk about inclusion, but they don't necessarily have disability as part of their inclusion. It's either race, gender, or some other factors, but disability is 8 times out of 10 not included. And so I'm usually teaching my CHROs, my HR executives, and even some of the employees that there are, federal funding and corporate opportunities to make changes within the organization so that it's completely inclusive. I also do some, reputation and risk management for companies who say they're inclusive and they're not. So, I go in and check a lot of their common areas and do a lot of training from the top down, from
Have you,
C-level to managers.
so here's something that I learned a long time ago is that
Okay.
I would hear people say, oh, there's this grant, and there's this thing and that thing, right? And you're like,
Mhm.
cool, but I ain't got time to do that, right?
Okay.
And if that person just said, oh, we'll fill it out for you, we just want 20% of it. Or we'll help you to
That's
get
not-
qualified, but you hire us to implement this other thing. We would love to implement this in your company and we can get it paid for by the government if you just approve us applying for it, right? So a lot of times, if you can provide the service or the curriculum for their training, and then you just apply for the grant so that it's paid for, and that ends up being your payment, so it costs them nothing, but you get everything.
Mhm.
I would add that little service of applying for the grant for them. Does that make sense?
Oh,
So
yeah,
that they can get the federal funding, but that funding comes to you. That's how they pay for your service,
Oh, I like that.
right? So again, we teach this all the time. I want to show it to you. If we go over to resources over at speakerhub.com/resources, we talk about this owner, payer, beneficiary. The owner is the person who's responsible for making the decision.
Mhm.
The payer is the person that writes the check. The beneficiary is the person who receives the benefit from the thing that was paid for. In this case, the person that CRO, whatever it's called, CHRO, whatever, they're the owner. They're going to make the decision. In this case, the payer would be the government paying for your services. The people that benefit from it are the employees at the company because of the things that you were paid to implement.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
it does.
So there are companies like Chief. Have you ever heard of Chief before?
No.
Right? Chief is a genius. I think I spelled it wrong. Chief. That's like chafe. They need some gold bond powder. No, I'm just playing. But Chief is for women in leadership, for women executives. It's $9,000 a year, right? $9,000 a year, they got a 60,000 or 70,000 person waiting list, right? Now, why is that important? Who's the owner of making the decision of whether you will be a part of Chief? Your HR director.
That's
Who
right.
benefits from you being a women's leader at your job, being a part of Chief? You do. You the beneficiary. But what does Chief do? Chief said, man, I ain't gonna be able to get these people to pay me $9,000. But what if I guilt their bosses into buying it for them? Because you basically go in, you say, hey, and Speaker Up, do you all believe in women's leadership? Yeah, our head of operations is a woman. Our head of design is a woman. Half of our team is women. We got all these things. Yeah, we believe in it. Cool. Well, we run an organization called Chief. We would love to help develop your women leaders, blah, blah, blah. You're like, okay, cool. Well, yeah, it's only $9,000 a year. Now, if I say no, what's the response? Well, you don't believe in your women being leaders? Damn it. Now I'm stuck paying for it, right? Because they've guilted me into saying I believe in women or believe in disabilities and that everybody may have invisible disabilities and these different things. And we need to make sure that we're up to code and up to standard with those things. So now they become the owner and the payer, and the employees benefit from it. Does that make sense? But if you say, well, they got the grants, you just gave them another reason to not buy from you today. So when you mention that federal funding, I say, yeah, we'll look into that and get back to you. You just blew the sale.
Okay.
What you do, you say, you do what Tesla does. You ever seen Tesla sell a car?
No.
All right, let me show you. Again, we're gonna give you examples. I'm not just gonna give you ideas. So I come on here and let's say I want to buy this car. All right. And I'm gonna no, don't allow nothing. Right. So now look what they put on here automatically. $7,000 federal tax credit. Did I have to select it? It was
Yes.
already there. It was already
Mhm.
pre-checked. They already included it in the price right off the bat. So what happens? When I go sign up for this, it's still whatever the real price is. It's still $80,000. But they telling me it's $74,000 because the government gonna give me $7,000 in credits back
Okay.
on my tax bill. But you see how they told me what the price was and then told me how I was going to get some of it back. So you tell them, look, for us to come in and to do the consulting, it is $50,000 for a 12-month package for us to make sure that you're up to code or we implement these things. The great thing about it is that you don't have to pay that $50,000. Our company will actually fill out the federal grant forms to make sure that this is covered by the government and you get all of the tax credits or the grant funds necessary to cover our fees to implement this. How do you want to go forward? You see the difference,
Yes.
right? But if you just show them a $50,000 bill, they're gonna be like, I make 100 grand and I'm gonna pay you 50 grand just to do this for 2 weeks. These people haters, even though it ain't their money, they haters. They don't want to see nobody make no more money than them, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
they
you're
are
right.
haters. I'm just
Mhm.
being real. They ain't gonna say it, but Camille know. That's why she laughing. She know these people. They
We
be
do
hating.
watch what car you drive when you come into our parking lot, for
Oh,
sure.
100%.
Mm.
100%. I remember when I used to manage the offices for Farmers Insurance. I used to run 300 offices for them in Illinois, Missouri, and Iowa. And I was 27 at the time, and I had a $90,000 car. I had a S430 4MATIC Mercedes, all black, dope, like 2 years old, fresh in my mind. I'm winning. I pulled up to one of these people in the Central Illinois farmers insurance agencies, and this dude looked at me like, "How you pay for this car?"
Mm.
That's all he was worried about. He had no care about how I could help him grow his agency. He didn't even care that I was over 300 offices just like his, and I had 8 of my own already over at Allstate. All he cared about was how does little fill in your own blank word, y'all know what to say, get this car. And how is he at 27 affording this car and I can't? So haters are going to hate. What I learned is when I go visit him, I drive the Ford that they gave me. But the Ford was getting the oil change that day, and farmers didn't care whether the car needed to be serviced. They cared about me doing my meetings. So I went and did my meetings while the car was getting worked on. I had no idea, but that was Camille just confirmed. He was pocket watch.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
So, but people hate. Moral of the story, Yvette, is you can get a lot of this funded just by adding that extra grant writing step so that then it's not coming out of their pocket. Does that make sense?
It does, but much like the question you asked early on, it's really about education. I find that even coming in with these services, most of it comes from just understanding what it is. They don't understand the benefit, the need, and some of the issues that they're having in business, retention, recruitment, from this target market and this skill set. So I think part of the problem I find myself running into is helping them to understand its importance.
Yep. And that's part of any business. Anytime you're doing anything, you remember we talked about the awareness continuum. There are people
Yes.
who are unaware, and then there are people who are ready to buy, right? And a lot of the people that we will talk to, 90% of the market is totally unaware that they have an issue,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, I had to change my language from saying, man, these people don't know nothing, to, man, I'm not that good at explaining to them what the value of what we provide. So then now it becomes our responsibility at Speaker Hub to be better educators versus us being saying it's their fault that they don't know. No, it ain't their fault they don't know. It's our fault that we haven't taught enough. We haven't
Right.
invested enough into educating up the market. Does that make sense? So at the beginning, your job is to be a filter. Whenever you start a business, your first priority is to be a filter. Does that make sense? Do you
No,
understand what I mean by that?
Like that. Yeah, if you can unpack that for me.
Okay, right? So all we've been doing today was exercises in filtering. When we think about Frida, she had this big, broad audience. What do? We filtered it down to the people who worked in student success. When we talked about Camille, we filtered it down to the people who aspire. And how do we find them? The problem is at the beginning, our hearts want to help everybody, but our wallets should only allow us to help those who are ready to buy right now. So we got to find the filtering mechanism that allows us to eliminate the other people until they're ready. Right? So that's called qualifying.
Okay.
Right? So let me show you how we do it. And if you don't have this, it's one of the things we talk about all the time that we think is a great, you don't have to do it the way we do it, but I'll show you how we do it. So we are very good at qualifying, right? So let me go back so far. So we run all of these different surveys. We got a lot of them. We change our membership application all the time. So some of you all signed up under one app. We changed the questions, sign up another group, because we're always doing research to better understand our audience, right? So now I can come in here and I can see, well, where is our audience coming from? They're coming from ChatGPT and Google, which means that those are intent-based traffic. They didn't just discover us. They were asking a question. How do I get booked for more speaking gigs? And ChatGPT or Google told them go to Speaker Hub. That's 60% of our audience. Another 9% came from a friend. Well, they was talking about speaking gigs. Girl, I'm on Speaker Hub. Do you see what I mean? Another 7% saw us. So we can segment and talk to different people based on where they are. Well, where will you be a year from now? 55% said, I'll be speaking regularly and turning into revenue. Well, they don't understand that that's a trick question for us. We ask this question this way to see if they're making money from speaking right now. If we ask how much money you make from speaking, they're going to lie to us. But if I ask them about their dreams, they tell us the truth. So you learn these different questioning techniques to filter and to get to the things you need. Does that make sense? So our ideal people, just overall, is we have different messages that we talk to about with different folks. So we're going to reach out to different people in different ways. This is filtering or qualifying a prospect.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? So when someone says, every time someone hears me speak, some join my list or book a call. Cool. A few might check me out, but they don't take action. I got a lot I can help them with. Their calls to actions are just weak. You see what I mean? I got a funnel and it's already bringing people into my system. Cool. That's our highest paying customer right there. Because I know they're invested in some other software. They got somebody building stuff out. That's my highest paid person right here. Is this making sense? So you want to be able to find out where are they? And then you can take this information and download it, put it in the ChatGPT and says, who should I target? And ChatGPT says, your audience is this group, right? So I'll show you that really quickly.
So I do have a readiness survey that I have on my website because I have a lot of people reaching out to me, but I, offer them the readiness survey, and usually that does help with some filtering. I'm not sure how effective
Right. But you'll get better. Again, we change ours all the time. Right. So our top respondent from this one particular thing was, I need more consistent gigs. Well, who's that group? Emerging speakers. Because experienced speakers already got consistent gigs. Do you see that? Well, I don't have any problems that Speaker Hub can solve. Well, why are you over here? These are liars in my mind. So you did all the searching, filled out 20 questions just to say y'all can't help me with nothing. Get out of here. I don't believe you. But cool, I got a way to sell them. Right? I got a way to sell them. I don't know how to market myself to others. Well, that's a different group. They got the expertise. They're just like Linda. Hey, I'm not really good at this marketing thing. We can help you with that too. But do you see how you can understand your audience and be able to talk to that specific problem? This is a filtering thing. Does that make sense, Camille? At the beginning, you got to only work with the people who can pay you the most. Why? Because you ain't got time to be teaching them nothing if you working by yourself.
Right.
We got a full-time person. All she does is write blogs with my name on it. Why? Because I ain't got time to do it. I got a full-time video editor. All she do is edit these videos and make sure that they come out and they look good. Is this making sense? Until you get to that point, you got to say, look, I got to find these few people that can pay me the most, that I can educate up the least, until I've made enough to be able to go after a wider, less educated market.
Right.
But for most of us, there's enough in that narrow, ready to buy sliver already. It's just we don't know how to find them.
Well, a lot of mine come through speaking, that low-hanging fruit, because I have this 80-20 rule where I have to work with 80% of the people who can afford me so that I can afford to work with the 20% that can't. And most of it comes through speaking, being on stage, workshops. And then once they heard me, then they hired me to come in and do workshops, retainer projects, and things of that nature. So
how do you get referrals? Let's walk through your referral language. I just hired you to speak. You did a great job. This was great. What's next?
Well, usually there's conversations that we
role
have.
play it. Let's role play it right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Hey, Yvette, man, that was a great workshop that you did for us. This was amazing. I knew we made the right decision when we saw you speak at the Olympic Association meeting 2 months ago. You know, this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I had a QR code at the end of my presentation, and I got a lot of response from your employees asking for more information. I think we should have a talk about possibly doing some workshops or unpacking some of the information that I was able to deliver from the stage. When can we get together with the proper personnel to make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you my calendar link. We can go ahead and get that on the books. I'll send that over to you, before we leave today. Is there anything else you need from me?
Yes, as long as I have a link to your calendar and the names of some of the leadership that are making decisions in this area, I think we can go ahead and make this happen. And I can send you over, any information that you need in advance.
Okay, thanks. All right, I'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay.
Perfect, right? What would you grade her on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being she did exactly what she needed to do, and 1 being she got work on it. Okay. Okay, we got 2 10s. Camille, what you think? 10, 3 10s? Wait, you got a 9, okay? Right? I would give her a 1.
Okay.
It was a referral conversation. She never once asked me for a referral.
Oh, you mean another company that would be interested in my work? Oh, for speaking.
It's a referral. You just did a kick-ass job. I'm speaking as highly of you as I ever will. And you're not going to take this opportunity to get 5 referrals to my competitors that you can go in and give the same talk to. Helping people with disability is not a competitive advantage. It is a need for every company. Nobody gets a competitive advantage because they have helped people with their disabilities. It's not like they see it like, oh no, we don't want their company to be disability ready. So they are willing to refer you to everybody because it's in the best interest of the human community. It's not like you're teaching some secret sales formula that is going to give them a competitive edge. This is just about human dignity and helping other people.
Right.
You just did a great presentation and got 0 referrals. And you just mentioned to me that you want 20% of their highest paid people to pay for the other 80%, but you don't have a referral mechanism in place to get more of those 20 without having to go through the other 100 to find the 20 again. This is filtering.
That's good.
I'll reverse the role play. All right. So you're going to be the person, you just hired me to come in. Here's what I would say. Go ahead. I'll let you start.
So Ron, that was an incredible talk. We're getting a lot of feedback. We appreciate the work that you do, and you were more than worth the money.
You know, Yvette, I really appreciate that. And I'm always humbled whenever someone really understands the mission of what we're trying to do. And you all are ideal clients, but the most effective way that I feel that I can have an impact is to be able to talk to great organizations just like yours. I brought a list with me of 5 other companies that are here locally that I'm going to be reaching out to anyway. Do you mind if I tell them that I worked with you guys on this project?
So good. Absolutely. I don't mind at all.
Cool. So I'm going to show you the list. If you happen to know anyone on here, just let me know. And I'm just going to bring up the people just to kind of give you some narration. I'm going to show them the list of 10 companies. Even though I said 5, I'm going to show them the list of 10 companies with the people in their position. They know their peers because they applied for that same job and they didn't get it. So they know who got hired over them. So you bring up the list and they see them at the same meetings. You say, I'm going to be reaching out to these 10 folks. And they say, oh yeah, I know Camille. I know Valencia. I know AJ. Did I ask them for a referral? No, I brought my own referrals. Did I ask them for permission to call somebody? I told her I was calling her whether she liked it or not.
Nice.
But I'm not leaving there without empty-handed. See you later, right? I'm not leaving there empty-handed. Does that make sense? I'm going in there with a purpose. I'm going in there with a purpose. I already got this deal. I already got the money from that. But I know I'm going to make 80% of my money off of these referrals.
Yeah.
That's what we learned as a financial advisor. Your first customer, one customer is only 20% of what they can bring to you.
Right.
So I got to get them to be a customer and to give me referrals to the other 80% of my money.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you got $100 and this person only controls 20 of it. But if you don't get that 20 and you don't handle it properly, you will never get the other 80. That's how important referrals are. A company by the name of Northwestern Mutual, their tagline was the quiet company. That was their logo. Like Nike, just do it. Northwestern Mutual was called the quiet company. It's the second largest insurance company in the United States, and they never ran ads until 2004. They never advertised on TV. You just see them now at college football games in the end zone. They got the little end zone ad whenever somebody kick a field goal. But they were proud that they built the entire business on teaching their people what I just taught you. How do you get referrals every single time? I don't need for you to buy from me for me to ask for you for a referral. If I provided you with any type of value, I'm entitled to a referral.
That's good.
But if we don't take that in, we end up going back out. It ain't the customer's job to give you a referral. It's your job to make yourself easily referable. How do you do that? Take your own names. How do you do that? Don't ask for their permission. Tell them you're calling them anyway. How do you do it? Ask if they know any of these folks. If they don't know him, cool. I can still mention, yo, I was working with Camille Batiste. I'm not sure if you all are good friends, but she's also the chief executive over at Boeing. I'm just making up a name, right? She's the chief executive over there. We did a great presentation for them, and she had no idea what you all were doing, but she thought it wouldn't hurt if I reached out. That's my email. You see how I mentioned Camille, but I let her off the hook. She had no idea what y'all was doing. So she can't say, well, I can't believe she would tell them my financial situation. She ain't even know. No, she had no idea what you was doing regarding financial advice, but she thought it wouldn't hurt if I at least introduced myself. Or a better phrasing of that, she thought it wouldn't hurt if I at least reached out to tell you what we were doing. Well, what you doing? That's the next question, because I ain't told you what I was doing just yet.
Right.
But that referral thing is really, really, really important. Does that make sense? But hey, guys, I got to cut it short. I got a team meeting I'm 3 minutes late for with one of my team members. Hopefully this was helpful. We'll continue this tomorrow. Tomorrow is Ask Me Anything day. I don't know how many people are going to show up. If y'all going to show up tomorrow, I'll be here. If y'all not going to show up tomorrow, I'm not going to be here. So we're going to do this tomorrow or not? No? Okay. Who'll be here? People going to be? All right, we'll do it tomorrow. For those who can make it, we'll be here tomorrow. All right. Any other questions? Talk to y'all later, guys.
I just want to know if there's any update on when the speaker launch will be dropping. I know you said that we were aiming for the weekend of 4th of July. Is that still in course?
Yeah, we're a little bit behind, but we'll have it to you.
All right.
Cool. Talk to you later, guys. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.